Today I want to talk briefly about the Zoom H4N audio recorder and how to use it for your projects. Inside the case that the audio recorder comes in, aside from the audio recorder, you'll also find a handle that will attach to the bottom of it, so you can attach this to a microphone stand, a tripod that you can put on the tabletop to use it elevated from the table surface, a power cord to plug it into the wall and use it off of AC power instead of batteries, a USB cable that will allow you to power it, transfer files from it, and also use it as a microphone for a computer, and the operations manual. So if you forget how to do something or you need to do an advanced feature, it's all right here. But here is the recorder itself. It comes in a nice plastic case to protect it. Simply take it out of the case, put the case back in the bag so we don't lose it, and here it is. Now first thing, you might want to turn it over and check that it has batteries inside of it. You can always get fresh batteries. The 2 AA batteries do last a long time for audio recording, so 2 batteries can last you for 8 to 10 hours of recording in reality. Here on the left side, you're going to see you have a hole for a remote that we are not using. You have a headphone jack, so you can monitor what you're listening to with a headphone jack. And there's the volume in reference to that and also the speaker on it. There's a spot to plug the USB cable in, and this is the power switch. So in order to turn on, you're going to push it to the right and hold for a second, and you'll see that is now powering on. And once it's loaded, you'll see a bunch of information displayed on the screen. At the top, you have the current recording time. It gives you a file name and the file type, and also the recording sample rate that we're recording at. Your levels are going to be showing up here, and also down here on the bottom right, it shows you how much time is left on the SD card. So this card has 12 and a half hours of recording time left on it, which is pretty big. SD card, where is it? That's a great question. If you go on the right side here, you also see you have the way to navigate the menu. So you have a menu button, and then there's a little wheel that goes up and down and it pushes in order to navigate the menu features. And you have a record level, so if you need to adjust the intensity of the recording, this is how you're going to do it. And then under this door over here is where the SD card lives. So there it is. That's an 8 GB card that's in here. You don't need a lot of storage space to record a lot of audio. Continuing a tour, on the bottom of it, you see in the middle we have a place to plug in the AC jack for the power, and you also have 2 audio inputs. These will take either XLR cables for microphones or 1/4 inch for things like instruments. You can plug a guitar directly into these as well. Built into the recorder, it has 2 stereo microphones at the top. And if you look very closely at these, there's actually numbers on it. There's a 90 on this one, and right now this is set to 120. And to change that, you can churn these. Now they're both on 90. What this refers to is it's going to record a 90-degree pattern from this point going out. If you turn to 120, it records a much wider 120-degree pattern. Looking at our buttons down here, you can see that right now inputs 1 and 2 are selected. That's referring to these inputs on the bottom labeled 1 and 2. If we want to use the internal microphones up top, we want to press the mic button here, and now it's going to use these microphones up here. Now I always recommend before recording anything, whether it's with the audio recorder or a camera, make sure you have a nice clean card to start with. You don't know what other projects might be on there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to press the menu button. And using this wheel on the side, I'm going to scroll down until I get to SD card. And from there, I'm just going to push in that side button, and I'm going to scroll down to Format, push in the button again. It's going to ask if I'm sure. Scroll up and push it in one more time, and now it's going to erase everything that's on the card. So we know we're starting with a nice, fresh, clean card. Now once we have a formatted card, we're ready to start recording. But some things you might want to do is make sure that you're recording at the highest quality possible. Now to change a format on here, this right here where it says WAV/MP3 is where you can change the format of the recording. So if I click that, then again, using the scroll wheel on the side, I can scroll through and find different styles. Now, a WAV recording is going to be higher quality than an MP3 recording. So usually if you do 44 or 48 kilohertz at 24-bit, that's going to be a higher quality recording. But you'll notice after I changed it, we have less space on the card. But that's okay. There's still plenty of time. If you record for 7.5 hours, I think you should be using more than one card anyways. Once I have that all set, I'm going to go ahead and do a sound check. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the record button right here. And now you can see it has levels on here. I have left and right showing up, and it's going between -24 and -12. Now I might want that to be a little higher. I like it to be around -12 to peak out at most times. So again, to change the level of the recording, I'm going to use the record level on the right here. I'm just going to hit increase. You can see on the top here it's displaying what the mic level is at. And I can hold it down if you want to go far. And you can see now it's recording at a higher level. What I want to avoid doing is I want to avoid being in this -6 to 0 area. And I want to avoid it lighting up the bars all the way to the right, indicating that I'm peaking, because then I'm going to have not great sound to work with later on. So I can actually change this while it's recording too, so I don't have to worry about it being perfect right away. One thing to note right now, I am not recording yet. The bars are active, the record light is blinking, but the numbers on top are not moving yet. In order to make sure I'm recording, I have to hit record again. Right now we're just in the record ready state, saying I'm ready to record, these are my levels. Now to record, I hit the record button, and now you can see the numbers are moving. It's always great to check. Am I recording? Are the numbers moving? That means I'm recording. And so now, once you have your recorder set up, you record as long as you want until either the battery runs out or the memory runs out. Either case, unless you're recording for multiple hours on end, you're not going to run into that problem. Once you're done, go ahead and hit the stop button. Give it a second so it writes the file, and you can go ahead and hit play to listen back to it. So you can go ahead and right away preview things. So if you want to just do a record check to make sure everything sounds great, record for 10 seconds, then listen to it back. One thing I didn't point out earlier is at the top right here, that is where your battery level is indicated. So this is a full battery right now. When you get down to 1 bar, that's when you should be replacing your batteries. As long as you are at more than 1 bar, you're probably good enough for at least an hour or two. Some other things to point out on here that may be helpful in the future. Up top you have stereo, 4-channel, or multi-track indicators. These refer to right now we're recording a stereo file, left and right with our microphones. We could also record a 4-channel by using both of these and the 2 inputs at the bottom all at the same time. Or we can do a multi-track. What that allows you to do is edit each one of these microphone inputs individually in post-production, because they'll record it as an individual track for each of the inputs on the memory card while you do it. The more tracks you record, the less time on each card you'll have to record with. But for some instances, you might want to be doing that. Now while you're recording, something that might be smart to do is if you want to make sure nothing gets messed up while recording, slide the power switch to the left for hold. And that's going to lock out all the buttons. You can't do anything when you're in hold. And just deactivate that, push it back to the right. In order to turn it off, you're going to have to hold it to the right, and then it'll say goodbye and turn off. And that is a brief walkthrough of how to use a Zoom H4N audio recorder.